Now, let's return to what we've heard in the last couple of hours, because President Biden talking to reporters before he left Israel. But after his talks with Mr. Biden, Benjamin Netanyahu's office said Israel will not allow any aid into Gaza from its territory until the hostages are returned, but it will not block aid going in from Egypt. Well, the UN agency UNRWA is on the ground in the Gaza Strip. Its Director of Communications, Juliet Tuma, talked to me earlier about aid that is desperately needed, but also her reaction to the events at that Gaza hospital in the last 24 hours.
The attack on the hospital was horrendous. Our UN Secretary General condemned it last night. Right after it happened. Civilians should be protected. Civilians are not safe anywhere in Gaza. No place is safe in Gaza. A few hours before that, one of our schools, an UNRWA school, in fact, that is sheltering displaced family, was also hit during Israeli airstrikes and bombardment. The loss of life continues. The loss of civilian lives continue. And that has got to stop. This is why it's absolutely critical that there is a ceasefire right away so that civilians are protected, so that we don't continue to lose civilians totally unnecessarily like we have been for the past 11 days.
We were just listening to the US President. He said he had tough questions and conversations with the Israelis in those meetings. When you heard him say that the people of Gaza need food, water, power, and they're asking for humanitarian assistance to be allowed in, you must be heartened by that. Are you hearing anything on the ground about practically how and when that might happen?
Not just yet, not just yet. The siege on the Gaza Strip continues for the 11th day, and the siege on the Gaza Strip must be lifted so that UNRWA is able to bring in much needed humanitarian supplies. Not just UNRWA, all other humanitarian agencies who work in Gaza. We would like to ask for the siege to be lifted. We're urging for the siege to be lifted so that we can bring in much needed supplies, including fuel, so that water runs back into Gaza. 2 million people do not have water in Gaza, and they're resorting to unsafe drinking water. We're going to have a health disaster soon in Gaza if we do not have our humanitarian supplies go into Gaza for people who need it most.
The President was making the point that perhaps inspections would have to be done there on the border in terms of stuff crossing the borders. He said none of it must go to Hamas. In your view and in your experience, are those things that can be sorted out relatively quickly, or are those things that take quite a lot of time?
Well, when it comes to UNRWA, we will bring in the supplies ourselves. Our own UN UNRWA teams on the ground will distribute it to those in need. We have been doing this for many, many years. These are UN staff. They are accountable to serve the communities in need, and they will ensure that that assistance will get to people who need it most, to civilians who need it most.
Well, that was the latest from the UNRWA spokesman, as President Biden has said that Israel has agreed to humanitarian assistance beginning to move in from Egypt into Gaza. So that is a significant glimpse of progress.